Guys, let me just say this about Dragon Age. And I, it's unfortunate that my first experience with BioWare was Anthem, but a huge portion of that community is obviously Dragon Age community. And I would say BioWare desperately needs this win. Let's take a look. We've got 13 and a half minutes here from IGN and exclusive gameplay.
It's been 10 long years since Dragon Age Inquisition, and the expectations for the next game in the series, Dragon Age the Veilguard, seem impossible. A full decade, a bevy of behind-the-scenes changes, and an interesting start to its marketing campaign made me a little worried for my most highly anticipated game of the year.
I admire you. What you've been through would break most people.
But one of my biggest concerns, based on early previews, was that it could be headed in the direction of being a linear action game rather than its more open-world predecessor. While Dragon Age is known for changing its style with each installment, I hoped dearly that it wouldn't lose too much of the DA DNA I fell in love with. After hours of hands-on time spread across 2 days, I'm pleased to say that I walked away with excitement and curiosity, but mostly relief to wave many of those concerns goodbye.
Okay.
My time with the Veilguard covered a wide smattering of things, including the incredibly expansive character creator, the introductory quests, a faction mission, and a companion quest a little deeper into the game. But I was mostly pleased with my ability to just explore Northern Thedas and all its gorgeously designed glory, experiencing a setting in Dragon Age lore that we've really only heard about. To be clear, the Veilguard isn't the open-world playground that Inquisition was. As game director Corinne Bush has previously stated, it's more mission-based. But what impressed me after the first few hours was how much exploration can still be done in the various regions, as well as the impact the player character, Rook, can have on those regions.
And there we go. Easy.
Wow, isn't that something?
As fans have already seen from the first gameplay trailer, players are dropped right into the city of Minrathous in the middle of the action as Solas prepares a ritual that will devastate Thedas. Luckily, our old friend Varric has recruited you to help, and it barely takes a couple of minutes for the game to put the focus on Rook. After a surprisingly concise story recap from Varric, there are a number of aspects the Veilguard starts easing you into. For one, the combat. Gone are the days of Dragon Age Origins' more CRPG-inspired tactical system, offering a style that's a mix of quick action and a mechanic where you can...
Does anybody else just kind of feel like the UI is a little off-putting? I mean, I don't want to be like just finding things to complain about. I don't know.
Pull up your radial menu. While this absolutely does take some getting used to, and it'll be a gradual process to create what could be a highly customized build while learning all your companions' different abilities, it didn't take me long to actually start having fun with it. I largely played mage and rogue builds during my hands-on time, and also quickly started to lean on certain companions' abilities. For one, the mage healing ability was essential. For one particularly difficult remnant, I basically established a pattern where I was only using Balara's mana to heal me, dodging and playing it safe when it got too risky. Nev's ability to slow time was also one I kept returning to, offering a bit more control on the battlefield when the situation got a little too fast-paced. And for you glass cannon builds out there, you'll want to have a warrior around to taunt your enemies out of your way.
I did it, Davrin. No problem.
Like a whole lot in the Veilguard, combat revolves around your companions, even though you can't fully take control of them like in previous Dragon Age games. Different companions have different combo options together, and there are certainly opportunities to build team synergy. Oh, and you'll want to listen to your companions in combat too, as they'll occasionally drop some useful hints.
Hitting us from range.
But combat aside, your dialogue choices, your Rook's background, and the frequent decisions you make are immediately important, which shouldn't be too surprising for fans of BioWare games. Speaking of consequences, it quickly became clear to me that there would consistently be tons of choices in the Veilguard that'll have lasting results. It probably sounds like I'm stating the obvious here, but I got the sense that even more of these kinds of choices might be peppered throughout than the usual BioWare game. Right at the beginning, for instance, I made a choice that led to Harding getting injured, and she was still bruised up for the remainder of the next couple hours. I felt like a real jerk about it, and that was probably the point. Dragon Age the Veilguard seemed to be telling me, right from the start, that I'm going to feel like a jerk a lot.
You don't slow down for much, do you?
Without spoiling too much, you'll also be able to see some of your progression and choices in the environment around you as well. But once introductions were out of the way, it was time to explore the wide world of Thetis and see its past and present collide.
Shall we?
Let's do this.
As mentioned earlier, one of my biggest worries was that the Veilguard could end up being more linear in its approach, trading branching gameplay for a straight line. And sure, the opening hours, essentially the tutorial zone, are a little railroady, save for a couple key decisions you have to make. But once you're
Dude. Why does this shit look like a damn PlayStation 2 game right now to me? It does not. Dude, we just came off of just watching Crimson Desert. I'm not saying Crimson's going to be better, but you know, from watching Avowed last week, even though it's got its issues in its 30 FPS, this shit looks dated to me, man. And I don't know if it's the gameplay more or if it's the UI combination of the two. Maybe it's the HP bars. I think you might be right. I think it might be the HP bars. It's like some areas that it's shown is very like it's grounded in realism, and then you know suddenly jump and it's like cartoony in a way.
Past that and more established within Act 1, you're much more free to tackle quests as you please as you unlock more and more regions. You do this via the Crossroads. For those of you who aren't brushed up on your Dragon Age lore, that's a nexus between the waking world of Thetis and the metaphysical realm of the Fade, through which the ancient elves would travel through magical mirrors called Alluvians. You now use the Alluvians for that same purpose, and to unlock new regions, you have to fight through certain areas of the Crossroads before you can start fast traveling to them. While the Veilguard's tone certainly leans more high fantasy in places like the Crossroads, don't worry. Those who miss the gore and dark fantasy of Origins will find that too in places where the blight has spread. But I couldn't help but spend a lot of my time just running around in Treviso, the bustling city that's home to the Antivan Crows faction. For one thing, a lively city feels like a novelty in Dragon Age. But there was simply so much to explore that I kept getting sidetracked. A merchant with unique items here, a new quest to pick up over there, and a random combat encounter over there. And that's just when I wasn't looking around for a cat or dog to pet. Because yes, you can pet the cats and dogs. Outside of the cats and dogs, there are some unique ways to interact with the environment as well. Each companion has an environmental ability, some of which came in quite handy for me. In my time in the Arlethan Forest, I frequently called upon Balara, whose environmental ability allows her to tinker with magical artifacts. In a nice quality of life feature, your companions don't even need to be in your party in order for you to use these abilities.
When's this game
As
come
an
out?
aside, another one of my favorite quality of life additions is the fact that party banter pauses and picks up again later if you trigger combat, a cutscene, or anything else that would interrupt their dialogue.
Yes,
That's
thank
right.
God.
No more awkward standing around in order to hear the complete conversation.
Oh, yes.
If you're feeling overwhelmed, the difficulty and accessibility options do allow for
October?
about just as
Oh
much
my
or as
God.
little hand-holding as you need. For example, with one Antivan Crow's quest I was doing, I could turn the navigation on and simply follow the game's guidance, or turn it off and look for clues in the environment to follow. In this case, the crow's purple symbol painted on certain walls.
Another mark this way.
Once I was in the thick of things, I could clearly see the features in the Veilguard that boiled down to, okay, we heard the complaints about Inquisition, specifically addressing the infamous Hinterlands problem, which is a reference to the first open world area players visit in Inquisition. The zone was packed with more than 50 side quests, many of which boiled down to mere fetch quests, and it left many players drowning in a bevy of checklists that felt inconsequential to the story. The Veilguard has boiled this down quite a lot. You're still free to explore, but the scope isn't nearly as dizzying, and the quests point back to the main story, a region or faction, or a companion. Another clear reaction to criticisms of Inquisition are our villains in the Veilguard, Algernon and Gillenane. The two elven gods feel much more present throughout the events of the early game than Corypheus, the frankly lackluster baddie of Inquisition.
Whatever comes, we're ready for a fight.
Words easily said, but rarely proven.
While there's a whole lot more Thetis to see and talk about, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it back home to the Lighthouse. The Lighthouse will likely be the most important location of the Veilguard, serving as the hub for you and your companions. Each one of your companions has their own room, and conveniently, a light shines outside of their door when they have a cutscene available. Once you get further into Act 1, it certainly starts to feel more lived in, and you can discover some pretty charming character quirks. For example, I found that Emmerich's skeletal assistant Manfred enjoys spending time on the balcony, and we even got a few games of rock, paper, scissors in. The Lighthouse is also, obviously, where you're able to do some housekeeping, especially when it comes to the caretaker.
Offer, dweller. I will answer.
This wildly helpful spirit is always standing by to help you enchant and upgrade armor for you and your companions. In short, a lot's changed in Dragon Age the Veilguard, but there was so much I was relieved to see stay. The focus on companions and romance, the rich lore, and a gorgeous world to explore. It goes without saying that there's still a ton of the Veilguard that I haven't seen, especially if it's as big as Origins and Inquisition, and it certainly seems like it. But after finishing my preview, I found myself even more eager to dive into it, and much more hopeful that this could be the hit BioWare needs.
Alright, I am not sold, but I already see some of your comments here in the stream. Here's the thing, you know, I'm not necessarily just this diehard Dragon Age fan. You know, we'll probably look at it. I find that the UI and the cartoony aesthetic, like it just kind of off-putting to me. Honestly, for a second, I actually thought I was watching gameplay of Wayfinder. If y'all remember that game. But who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe it pops. Maybe it's game of the year. Yes, the colors, the art style, HUD, etc. Very Wayfindery. Yeah, for this, the gameplay also looked like whenever they're in combat, kind of look almost static, almost like it's mobile and you're like just pressing the buttons on your touch screen in a way, you know what I mean? So at least from what I understand about this is not going to be open world, right? This Dragon Age is not open world. It's going to be zones. And so like she was just talking about, hold on, sustaining your range attack gradually increases its damage output longer it is active. Okay, just curious about the skill trees. Well, hold on. You know, obviously gameplay combat isn't everything. You guys are saying things about Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, being a turn-based strategy game that Baldur's Gate is, I have never been someone that was into those type of games. Then BG3 comes around and suddenly I found myself literally sweating in that damn turn-based strategy game. Okay, BG3 is no pushover of a game. You got to come in with some strategy or you're going to get your ass handed to you. I mean, seriously, guys. BG3 will humble you very quickly. If you think it's some boring ass gameplay, just go try it. Go try it. The other side of things is that the RPG elements of BG3 is second to none. I mean, it really is second to none. I don't know if that's going to exist here with Dragon Age. I don't know if this game is going to be it, man. I'm looking at it right now. It looks like a solid 4 out of 10. Okay, we'll play it. We'll try it out. We'll see. You know what I mean? You know, maybe I'm wrong. Dude, I am so willing to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Because nothing is more satisfying than going into a game thinking it's going to be poop and it turns out to be amazing. Okay? Cross, you're baiting? I'm not baiting, guys. It looks like utter shit to me. What do you want me to say? I'm sorry. You're a Dragon Age fan. Maybe you're a BioWare fan. Listen. Let me just say this. In the past, maybe just maybe, I have played certain games that weren't that good. And even though this video didn't say sponsored, I could smell a sponsor from a mile away. And if a game is not good, you say things like, I'm very hopeful for the future. I'm excited to see how it all shakes out. The biome, diversity of different characters. It's just fluff. You fluff it. You fluff that shit. It looks alright, but not sometimes that would beat the charts. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not asking for it to beat the charts. I'm asking for the game to make me interested in this universe. And, you know, maybe it will, dude. We'll try it out. You know what I mean? I love blocked out zones like this. I feel like I'm back in 4th grade again. You know, it's Wizard 101. Let's fucking do it, dude. I'm completely down. I'm willing to give it. UI takes up my whole screen. Big blocking numbers. You know what I mean? I love big words, big font. Hell yeah. I can see what's on the screen. Let's do it. If you got a game that allows you to play rock, paper, scissors and pet the cats and dogs, it's game of the year, man.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.